Welcome to the Marinade, a free-flowing conversation about the creative process with creative people. Each episode, we welcome musicians, actors, comedians, authors, visual artists, filmmakers, anyone who creates art to talk about how and why we make stuff. This is a special bonus episode, Jason's journal reporting from Bonnaroo 2025. Usually we would have a guest on the show. If you're not familiar, if you're new, you came here because of Bonnaroo, or you just happen to find us on your socials or out in the world by word of mouth, welcome. Typically what happens is I sit down with a guest and we talk about the creative process. And I also like to give updates about really cool things that this show affords me the opportunity to do, like cover music festivals. And this is the third year in a row that we have covered Bonnaroo. I just want to start by thanking everybody who's listened to the show and spread the word about the Marinade over the years. We're coming up on 8 episodes this fall, and the opportunities keep coming. I have a lot going on that I'm going to report over on the Patreon. And I'm just so grateful. So grateful. As for Bonnaroo, the sun on this Friday rises full of promise. I have a podcast taping with Jolton Mayfield scheduled for the afternoon, a Jason's journal to write and record, and the benefit of feeling that festival calm where you've kind of settled in and the stresses of the world have melted away. And the only thing really in front of you is music and community. This is, like, as I said, our third year covering Bonnaroo. The first year, I was just trying to figure out how to get there. What's the difference between the this tent and the that tent, the which from the what. Some of that I still don't totally have figured out. Then in year 2, I kind of started to make connections with people and get the lay of the land and understand the culture of Bonnaroo. It has this whole subculture around it, and I started to feel like I was more of a part of it in that second year. And then this year, I kind of feel like a veteran. So I wake up and I'm headed to the media tent, which is top notch at Roo. They really take care of media. Shout out to the folks at Big Hassle for always being so good to us. I'm usually one or two at the most. One of one or two at the most. It's 3 sometimes, people working in the media tent this early in the morning, and today is no exception. Got a couple of photographers that are editing photos as I sit down to reflect and write about the day before. Everything seems like it's taking twice as long as expected this morning, and I have to remind myself that there's no need to stress. This is supposed to be fun. There's the skills that I developed as a teacher over the years, over 15, coming up on 16 years of education, public education work, are things like organization, time management, hypervigilance, always eyes wide, head on a swivel when I'm working. And that tends to also inform my creative work, which is a good thing for the most part, but sometimes I have to remind myself to, like, relax and go with the flow. Thankfully I'm able to get there this morning because I just have so much to do today. Crumb Snatchers, whose frontman and principal songwriter Goots is set to be a guest on the Marinade this weekend, is playing a secret show at the Craft Beer Exchange way out in Outeroo. The last couple of years, those first 2 years for me at Bonnaroo, I barely scratched the surface of Outeroo. There's just so much to see in the media, staff, and guest area where I camp, and then also in Centeroo itself, the main part of the festival. So I hadn't really ventured out into the general camping and into Outeroo. This set was at the group camp, group with 2 O's, which is located about as far on the other side of the property, 700 acres or so property, as one can get from where I camped. I'd planned on going for a run this morning, but then as I got up and started my day, I realized, oh wait, I'm going to be walking tons of miles today, and I need to save my legs, and I'm glad I did for this one. As I get close, I look around for somebody to ask directions, and 2 guys working the festival took one look at my bearded, bald, middle-aged ass and said, "Beer exchange?" I was like, is it that obvious? Really? A woman in a golf cart is offering me a ride with a smile, and I stupidly turn her down for reasons still unbeknownst to me. I guess I just don't like help. I don't know. So dumb. I should have just hopped on her golf cart. No big deal, though. The Bonnaroo Craft Beer Exchange, which is what it sounds like it is. I guess I kind of expected like just a regular bar, but it's just people from the festival bringing craft beer and trading. It's really cool. And it's right around the corner. No one's playing yet, but I can see the Crumb Snatchers guys pre-gaming. They're a striking bunch, right? They wear red bandanas in solidarity with the Appalachian labor movement, and they just kind of have this really wild energy to them in the best way. They're pre-gaming. They got a table set up and drinks are flowing, and the through line with these guys seems to be joy. Their energy is contagious. It's just after 10:30 in the morning, and the area is full of smiling faces, myself chief among them. There's an opener. He eventually takes the stage. L.S. Daniel. It's him, an acoustic guitar, and that same joyful spirit. I mentioned feeling like a veteran of Bonnaroo this year for the first time. And I think that level of experience is allowing me to tap into the joyous nature of Bonnaroo in a deeper way. And this guy is taking us on a lovely ride. More folks start to trickle in. I should probably set the stage a little for people who have not been to Bonnaroo. Out in the general camping area, there are these compounds of sorts. And if you've ever been to a camping festival, this kind of thing is fairly common, fairly universal at camping festivals. But it seems to be like on steroids at Bonnaroo. Folks come from all over to camp together. They got their festival families there, and many of these camps are quite extensive. And then each larger area, like I mentioned that I was in the group area, GROOP, each of those larger areas is pretty much self-sustaining. Like they've got food and drink and first aid station and all that kind of stuff. And one such gathering out there announces itself as Camp Boop the Snoot. Crumb Snatchers take the stage to an extended sound and vibe check. Frontman Goots is testing the instructional fortitude of the rickety stage. He's swaying back and forth as if he's learning to surf. And the stage is reacting accordingly. There's a guy to my left dressed like Rex of Napoleon Dynamite, Rex Kwon Do fame. Dude went all out for this fit. I hope that reference lands with most of you, and I think it will. One of the Crumb Snatchers singers, whose name I wish I caught, begins singing Smash Mouth's All-Star, and the rest of the band jumps in over the house music. Two backup singers, a percussionist playing, among other things, cowbells, two guitar players, a drummer, a bassist, and Goots also with a guitar and on vocals. And he starts to he has this wonderful, like I said, joyous and kind of manic energy where he brings you in like some sort of gonzo preacher. And he's leading us in several chants, including Boop the Snoot, Boop the Snoot. I'm sitting there going, how could this day possibly get any better? This is only Friday morning at Bonnaroo. I could stay here all day. But I have a podcast taping with Jolton Mayfield later, and the sky is unfortunately threatening. Plus, the walk back to the media tent and the guest camping area is going to take a good half hour. And so I'm on my way. Ominous clouds, thankfully, pass without incident. Cinnaru's waking up, but nothing has really started in terms of music. People are trickling in. I think the first set begins at noon. I need to retrieve my digital recorder. I brought a lot of my recording equipment already to the media tent, but I need to go get my digital recorder from camp and then also just sit and rest my bones for a minute. I've walked several miles. And Tom and Laura, who are my campsite neighbors that I talked about on Thursday's recap, are nowhere to be found. So I'm just back at camp by myself. And the rain starts coming. At first, real light. Now it's coming down heavier. I sit under my canopy with no cell service and nothing to read. My notebooks are in a locker in the media tent. The book I'm reading is there as well. So it's just me. It's just me and my thoughts. And I start thinking about just what's happened in a year, and really, the 3 years I've been covering the festival and how much my life has changed. I've talked about it a lot on this show in various ways. And it's just taken a lot to process because I've just gone through such upheaval in my life. And I realized this is my third Bonnaroo. The first one that I'm here single. First time I've been here when I was single. 2 years ago, my partner in life and I were starting to have some troubles I can now look back and see, but I was still very much in love with her and missing her, having fun at the festival, but definitely wanting to get home. Last year, I was with someone different, which was a quasar of a relationship. It took me a long time to get over that one, most of the last year. But I can now look back fondly on our time at Rue. She came with me. Met me there at least. I picked her up from the airport in Nashville, and we spent Saturday and Sunday at Rue together, and it was incredible. It's just I look back on that so fondly. We broke up almost immediately upon returning home, but for those couple of days, things were just pure bliss. The guys camped behind me, are playing a mix that's alternating between EDM and like really bad bro country. The girls to my left are also blaring EDM. If you listen to me much, you've heard my old man rants about EDM, so I'll spare you right now. But what I will say is that the whole situation has me reminding myself of the Bonnaroovian code, and I love that about Bonnaroo. Had to give myself a vibe check. The code implores you to radiate positivity and carry that ethos out into the world. And I needed to take a deep breath. The rain is looking like it's going to wash us out for the day at this point. Music that I find grating is all around me. And I just had to remind myself, like, hey, you're at Bonnaroo right now. You're covering this festival that you love. You've grown to really love. You're not at work. You're working, quote unquote. But, hey, you're working covering a festival. Tom and Laura return right about the time I get myself back. Here they come. They return drenched. They've been on tour of the entire grounds with the operations manager of the festival, who they've known since he was a kid. And the couple served as like a second home for him when he was growing up. Now he's all grown up and doing big things in the event world. A break in the rain brings two of Tom's interns from the legendary Lightning 100 in Nashville, Zach and Brooke, by the camp. They're scheduled to interview the lead singer of King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard later tonight. We're still holding out hope that's going to happen. I'm guessing they're early in their early to mid-20s. Y'all, that group of folks, if you're older than that listening to this, if you're my age or older, that group of folks is so cool. Talk to them. If you don't know anybody, seek them out in their 20s. They're just so fucking cool. I'm out here radiating positivity, so I won't go into detail about the generation behind them. But the group I'm talking about, the young folks in their 20s, are just badass. They dress cool. They're open-minded. They're great. Rain's coming down, y'all. Really coming down now, to the point where it's time to get into the car just to be extra safe. Folks are starting to get pretty drunk now. Everybody's been sitting around, and at this point, I'm sipping deeper into my cooler of beer than expected. It looks like my interview is off for this afternoon, and we are all starting to expect the day is maybe going to be done. Again, I don't have service, so all of the updates need to flow through Tom, who I think could communicate with beings in another galaxy through his tech setup. With the benefit of hindsight, at this late in the afternoon, I probably should have just taken a nap, but who knew that it was going to rain like this long? And things did get kind of hairy for a while, so it was probably best that I was in my car, while it was storming pretty seriously. Finally, a little break in the storm, and I need to go get my stuff from the media area. And as I'm walking up there, now I'm noticing, oh wait, I do have service. And it turns out they sent us an email asking us to grab our stuff 40 minutes ago. I just didn't have the service out at the camp to get said email. It's about 7 o'clock now. Hours and hours and hours we've been sitting at camp. I see George from the blog East of 8th. We've got to know each other over the last 3 years. He's a fantastic photographer and a nice guy. It's been so great to connect with him. When we go back to camp, we're enjoying a beer as the news starts to hit. Bonnaroo, the rest of the whole damn festival is canceled this year. It's not safe, they say. The grounds are too muddy. It is muddy as hell out here, y'all. I guess I get it, but the melancholy hits almost immediately. Some folks are packing up now. Tom and Laura among them. I've had such a great time connecting with Tom and Laura. I don't want them to go. At this point, I've had enough beer. I shouldn't drive, so I'm not going to pack up. I'm going to stick it out for tonight and figure out the next move tomorrow. So unfortunately, the weather forced Bonnaroo to shut down after just a day and some change. But in the meantime, we had a blast. You know, it's going to be difficult. Jeff Mosier, the wonderful banjo player and songwriter, talks about the mag drag. After the old Magnolia Fest at Spirit of the Swanee Music Park ended each year, at the end of the weekend, he talks about how he and his family would be driving home, and there was just like a difference in the air, you know? There's no fiddles wafting through the trees, no sublime voices singing you lullabies. The realities of bills and politics, relationships that are not built on the mantra radiate positivity start to hit you. So this year, I guess, as I'm confronting said melancholy, the mag drag, wily Roo veteran that I am, I'm going to take the Bonnaroovian code out into my life as best I can and try to maintain that. This is a period of transition for me, creatively, personally, professionally, and I'm going to make some adjustments to the way that I approach things. I think I have a pretty decent attitude on life, but we can always get better, and I got some work to do that I've been doing. And I think having so much time to just sit and reflect with no distraction has put some things into a different perspective for me. And I'm going to keep that positivity radiating. My next move is going to be the KOA Campground in Nashville, Tennessee. It's out by the Grand Ole Opry. And we're going to see where this whole thing goes. We're going to see where the party goes this weekend. We're going to see where the rest of the Grounded Summer Tour goes. There's a lot going on back home. I may have to end up turning around and going home. Which, you know, not ideal, but it is what it is. I may be needed back home, and I can't complain. Yeah, Roo got cut short. Yeah, it's frustrating. Will I be back next year? Yeah, I plan on being back next year. I know a lot of folks are really miffed about what's happened, but I'm gonna keep going until they call it, or it gets to the point where it doesn't seem like in good conscience I can go. But for that day and a half, y'all, I had a blast. If you enjoyed this Jason's Journal from Bonnaroo, I have a couple of simple asks, y'all. First, subscribe and follow us on your preferred social media. We're Marinade Podcast on just about everything. I even got back on Facebook. Second, tell a friend about the show or share a link on social media. That makes the biggest difference for us, and we so greatly appreciate when you turn someone on to the Marinade. But above all, just thank you so much for listening. And until next time, go out and create something. Cheers, y'all.